Welcome to Mac Advantage, Professional Perspective in Accounting. My name is Scott Showalter. I'm the director of the Jenkins Master's Accounting Program here at NC State. We are very fortunate today to have Paul Knopp joining us. Paul recently retired from KPMG after a 42-year career in the public accounting profession. Paul served in a variety of roles within KPMG and was involved outside the firm shaping the accounting profession. And on a personal note, Paul's and I career kind of crossed a couple times when we were with the firm. So with that, Paul, I'm just going to jump into our first question here today. And since I did mention you're recently retired, why don't you give us a little summary of that, what that career looked like?
Sure. Thank you, Scott. And thank you for having me today. So I had an almost 42-year career at KPMG, just shy of 42 years. And I spent 35 of those 42 years serving audit clients. So I was an audit professional. And I spent 2 years in our national office, really only 2 years, but a pivotal moment in my career in terms of helping me make the right connections to launch the rest of my career. And then, as you know, I spent 5 years, my last 5 years as chair and CEO of KPMG. So I had a very diverse career, but it was really interesting. And I actually was in 7 different KPMG offices over the course of that 35 years of serving clients and 42 years in total at KPMG, and actually moved 8 times, including 2 different moves to the same city. So it was a fascinating career.
Great. You had a lot in common with me. I was in 9 different offices, and I moved as well. And my kids didn't think I could keep a job during that period of time. Since you did mention that you are recently retired as the CEO, probably a lot of people don't understand what a CEO does of a Big Four accounting firm. So you can give us a little indication. Sure. I know there's probably no typical day, but something that a CEO does.
Well, if you talk to any CEO of a Big Four firm, Scott, you'll know that our business is very diverse. So it is less than 40% audit. So it's audit, tax, consulting, deal advice. So you've got to have your big hat on when it comes to ensuring you understand all of the firm and not just the audit and tax practice. So as somebody that's an accountant, having served really big clients over the years and understood strategy and enterprise risk management, it was very helpful for me to understand how to run the operations of the firm and set the strategy for the firm. Now, while it's a very diverse business and less than 40% is audit, what I'll tell you is that there's a bit of a disproportionate amount of time spent dealing with audit-related matters. So you need to absolutely focus on the stakeholders. And the stakeholders are people, they are clients, regulators, the media, just a very diverse group of stakeholders. And I spent a lot of time with each of those different stakeholders trying to educate, manage expectations, trying to ensure that they understood the firm. And, one that I wanted to maybe hone in on a little bit more is our people, because people at KPMG were the lifeblood of the business. They still are the lifeblood of the business. And while technology is paramount today, making sure that your message, your strategy resonates with the people of the organization is critically important. And, all those things just take an immense amount of time.
Great. Yeah, I know your job is diverse, and I watch you on LinkedIn. You're always appearing in a lot of different things in that. And when I think about your career in the variety, next question is kind of one of those. What's the most surprising or unusual activity or experience that in your period of time that you came across? Probably something most people probably wouldn't expect you experienced yourself.
Yeah. So, I'll just say at the outset here that having served clients for 35 years and having served really big Fortune 100, 200 clients, I have a lot of stories about clients that I can't tell because confidentiality is still the bedrock of our profession. So maybe we'll have a lot of great stories that I can't tell. Maybe I'll focus on my transition to the role as chair and CEO of KPMG, because Scott, it's really unusual for somebody to serve clients for 3+ decades and go right from client service to being selected to be the chair and CEO of a Big Four firm. almost every other Big Four CEO I can think of ran a practice. They ran audit, they ran tax, they ran advisory, they ran a big, huge geographic region. I served clients, and I was serving as a global lead audit partner on Pfizer the moment I was selected to be chair and CEO in 2020. So, the unusual nature of that is to me was both interesting, fascinating, and really was something that I reflect on in terms of pride in what I accomplished. I'll just say that, I could make that jump because accounting is a language of business. I spent many years working with really complex organizations like GE, Accenture, Pfizer, Motorola, many others. Again, I had to understand their strategy, their risk management. I had to relate to people in a very effective way in the boardroom. And I think that too is an excellent training ground for somebody that wants to be in the leadership of an organization. It may not be too evident, at first glance, but to me, it was an excellent way to learn about effective management of an organization, strategy, risk, to ensure that I could translate what I'd learned as a client service professional into actually running a 40,000 person organization.
That's great, Paul. You just confirmed what I tell the students all the time. There's literally nothing you can't do with an accounting degree. It opens up so many doors for you. And with that, in this role, you probably had contact with other CEOs and the other firms and regulators and the whole spectrum out there. What do you see some of the big challenges facing the public accounting profession as we go forward?
So let's think about how unusual the last few years have been. I mentioned that I became chair and CEO in 2020, so July 1st, 2020. I was actually elected in March of 2020. So I had about 3 months where I was sitting at home watching the pandemic play out. And then you think about what happened over the course of 5 years. We had the pandemic, and that really changed the future forever. It certainly changed the way we work in the profession forever, in my view. It changed the way we think about talent in terms of absolutely emphasizing the importance of talent. Now, I want to come back to that in a second. And then you think about the volatility of what happened in the economy. There were so many economic cycles that played out over those 5 years, from recession to boom to sort of an economic malaise for a little bit of time, and then just some just resilience and strength of the economy. Just a very rocky 5 years when it comes to the external environment, when it comes to making sure we have the right talent to serve our needs. But the other thing that I think about that's a huge challenge for us going forward is definitely technology. So I'll say that people are first and foremost. People are the lifeblood of our business. But when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT in late 2022, and it became very evident in early 2023 that generative AI and AI was going to change the world, we all had to transform and ensure that we had the right technology, that we were competitive with respect to our technology platforms, that we were embedding those technologies in the business, that we were, very importantly, Scott, putting those technologies in our people's hands. That was the most important element of this, because it was really our people that helped us determine how we could use AI and generative AI more productively, more thoughtfully in our business, to help ensure that we meet our clients' needs, to operate our business more efficiently. All those things have happened over a short 5 years, and the world has just dramatically changed in that time. Now, as I look forward, and if I think about the future, I think that it's still all about people and technology. The technology will just continue to get better and better and better as we move forward. It's highly imperfect, it's flawed, but it constantly improves. But making sure that we use the technology in safe, ethical, trustworthy ways, making sure our people use it in really productive ways, making sure that we solve our clients' most complex problems. that really is what the future is all about. And I'll just say too that it's already started to change a little bit of the shape of our workforce. So there is no doubt that some of the more mundane routine things, as people like to say, that we used to do, you and I used to do, are that some of those activities are now done by technology, particularly AI and generative AI. Now, it is very true to say too that increasingly so, some of the more complicated things are being done by technology. And for that reason, you look at the shape of the workforce, we have to be very thoughtful about making sure that we constantly, continuously upscale, reskill our people, making sure that they're prepared for using that technology. All those things are real challenges moving forward to make sure that we get the future right.
Great. Yeah, at the end of your question, you started going into the future a little bit. Thank you for that. As I reflect and the students come and talk to me, one of the questions they often have is, what's the future of the accounting profession? Where is it going? Is it going to be a great place to be? And of course, after 33 years I spent in the accounting profession, I say yes. And so could you give your view a little bit about where you see, you talked about technology, but should this be something that you think is going to continue to evolve and provide a lot of opportunities for students?
Yes, absolutely. And let me just say that as the chair and CEO of KPMG, I spent a lot of time speaking to CEOs across the US and the world, a lot of time speaking to board members and other business leaders. And to a person, they recognize the criticality, the importance of the accounting profession. And I mentioned earlier that accounting is the language of business, and that will always be true. And so when I answer this question, I want to just focus on accounting and not auditing or tax narrowly in a silo. Accounting as the language of business is always going to be critically important. It's always going to provide a platform for launching careers. It's always going to be a way for people to expand their horizons. It is a degree that has incredible value. We recognize that in the firm that I used to run. And I'd say too that, I talk about audit and tax, but those individuals that help companies prepare financial statements, that do the accounting for the organizations, those individuals that do financial due diligence in major acquisitions, that help companies do M&A, all those are accounting skills. And they're really paramount when it comes to companies achieving their objectives, making sure that we're trusted, making sure that, in the audit profession, that we protect the capital markets, in tax, that we faithfully represent transactions that are accounted for properly under tax laws and regulations. This degree is still of incredible value and always will be, but it's a very diverse degree. And I think I would just encourage your students to think about it not as a degree to necessarily launch you into an audit career or a tax career, but a degree that can really launch your business career over the course of many, many years.
Great. Thanks, Paul. I may quote you on that one as we go forward on that. And now I'm going to turn a little bit to your personal life. And, so as you look forward, as you're looking for the next phase of your life after retirement, what's your plans when you in your spare time? Either you have some plans or you moving forward?
Yeah. So, after spending 42 years in the business and being as busy as I was, both serving clients and as chair and CEO of KPMG, I definitely want to spend more time with my family. I definitely want to travel more. We have a granddaughter now, which is really exciting. She's a year and a half old. I also have a vision of wanting to do more, though, when it comes to both nonprofit. I'm a board member on an organization called Project Healthy Minds. Two of my three kids are type 1 diabetics, so I have an interest in the work that is done to try to address type 1 diabetes, mental health, as I mentioned earlier. And then lastly, I'll just say that I'd like to think that at some point here in the next few years, I'll start maybe actually being on the other side of the table as a board member for a public company or a non-public company, trying to help companies in that vein. So all those things are sort of in my vision right now. And it's just exciting to to be doing something different after 42 years.
I'm sure there will be plenty of options presented to you, which you'll have a chance to pick from. And so my last question is sort of like a wrap-up question. Is there any final thoughts you just want to leave an audience with before we wrap up today's Q&A?
Yeah, I got to visit a lot of college campuses as the chair and CEO of KPMG. Was one of the other stakeholders that I mentioned earlier is academia, a really important stakeholder. I just love being on college campuses. And one of the things that I said to the students and the faculty at these organizations, at these schools, is that I really value the diversity of education and being a student of the world. So I would often say that while I had just legendary professors in accounting at UT Austin, that I can remember as much, Scott, about my astronomy class, my history class, my philosophy class, my government class, as I can about my business classes. And the value of a diverse education is critical to success and business success because it really equips students to be able to operate, to be able to be effective in a very complex world. So while there's a lot of talk about globalization or deglobalization being more of a reality nowadays, I still think it's a very global world. And to understand how we play in that world, to understand diverse topics and how to deal with those topics in talking to various constituents and colleagues and others is really important to success long term.
Great. Well, Paul, I want to thank you very much on behalf of the audience for taking the time to talk with us today. Some great insights, and I wish you all the best in your next phase.
No, I really enjoyed the conversation today, Scott, and it's great to see you again.